Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We're a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your identities are welcome here. Jade is unable to join us this morning due to the weather, and I know many others are as well who are joining us online, so things will shift just a little bit in the service today, but we wish everybody warmth and welcome you online as well, and grateful for the folks who have made it in today in person as well. Welcome to visitors and newcomers. We're glad you're here. There's a preschool playroom open for young ones and activities for kids following the time for all ages. After service, you can join us down in the Commons where you can find out about how to get involved in the life of the church and the community, where there'll be refreshments and warm drinks to keep you sustained through the morning today. Tomorrow morning, you can join us for the annual MLK Rally and March. There's a community breakfast earlier, but then we'll gather as a group at 10:30 at the Mayo Civic Center on the first floor. You can look for me or others wearing yellow Side with Love shirts or scarves if you have. You can get some gear downstairs after service at the social justice table, or wear something yellow if you want, or just show up with something warm. We'll be, I think, inside primarily, or you can stay inside and then join the rally following the march. Either I might go outside a little bit, or it might just stay inside. So join us at the Civic Center tomorrow morning, 10:30. Look for other UUs as we honor the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. King. Our January Justice partner is CERT, Community Engagement Response Team, using de-escalation and nonviolent intervention to disrupt violence in our community. You can give as the plates pass or anytime online as we collect for them throughout the month. Thank you for your generosity. And we have a special announcement for an upcoming immigration dinner event on Wednesday night at the end of this month. Daria.
This year's Coming of Age class invites you to a special dinner and forum on January 31st. The dinner will be an Ecuadorian meal cooked by Carlos Aquino, a member of the Ecuadorian Venezuelan family our congregation is helping support. Donations for the meal will still be accepted, but instead of going to support Walden Hill Wednesday, all donations will go to support the Immigration Justice Fund. The Immigration Justice Fund has helped Southeastern Minnesota Interfaith Immigration Legal Defense, or SMILE, and 3 families of asylum seekers. A tip jar will be available if you want to tip the chef directly. The forum following the dinner will be presented by Phil Wheeler and a panel on immigration justice. The panel will consist of people who have been involved in assisting the 2 families we are currently working with, and will discuss the challenges faced by asylum seekers and those trying to help. This will also provide a chance to meet members of these families. To give our chef an accurate count of people to expect, we ask you that you let us know if you are coming. You can do this by signing up on a clipboard on the social justice table, in the comments, or by a link that will be shared in this week's e-news. Thank you.
So we hope you can join us January 31st for that special event. And join us every Wednesday night for Tupper Supper and programs for all ages. This week is table conversations following dinner on the monthly theme of 30 Days of Love, which is through Side with Love, our national UU justice organization. So from MLK Day to Valentine's Day, we'll be exploring ways to nourish our souls as we work towards a more just and loving world. Amy will talk about that today a little bit as well. So join us for supper at 5:30, followed by conversation around the table for the evening with childcare available. All are welcome. So I invite you to take a breath as we enter our time of worship this morning with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. In just a moment, the opening hymn will call us back, but I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you.
encourage you all to sing the chorus, that first part of the hymn with me, and then if you want to, you can sing along with me on the verse. Otherwise, I'm envisioning sort of a call and response type of thing. So here we go. Sing it all together with me. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd. Drinking gourd, follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd. When the sun comes back and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd. The old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Now the river bank makes a mighty good road. The dead trees will show you the way. Left foot, peg foot, traveling on. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd. Now the river ends between two hills. Follow the drinking gourd. There's another river on the other side. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is awaiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd.
And Lynn, Brian, and Aaliyah are going to light our chalice this morning. Or Brian and Aaliyah are. While I read these words from Thomas Merton about our work for freedom and our interconnection and community. There is something in the very nature of my freedom that inclines me to love, to do good, to dedicate myself to others. I have an instinct that tells me that I am less free when I am living for myself alone. The reason for this is that I cannot be completely independent. My freedom is not fully free when left to itself. It becomes so when it is brought into right relation with the freedom of all.
For the past number of years, Side with Love has hosted 30 Days of Love. It generally starts around Martin Luther King Jr. Day and ends around Valentine's Day. It's kind of morphed over the years, but this year, each week they're going to focus on a different word and justice issue. So this week, it's safety and decriminalization. On the Side with Love site, you will find personal stories, personal stories, blessings, prayers, and body practices suitable for all ages and abilities. Other topics for this month are climate justice, bodily autonomy, democracy and electoral justice, and intersectionality. Their resources on the sidewithlove.org site are really great, and I encourage anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about all of these justice issues to go there. But a little closer to home, and with lots of help from the Side with Love site, we have developed a calendar, 30 Days of Loving Kindness. This calendar encourages you ways to be kind to yourself, to this church community, and those people in the wider community and the world. So you can pick up a paper copy, or there'll be an electronic copy in your e-news this week. But today, it just says, turn page over for more details on Sunday the 14th. But there's other practices, as in reading or listening to podcasts, sitting with somebody new on a Wednesday night, writing things you're grateful for, encouraging others to vote in elections, or attending our Valentine's dance hosted by our youth on February 10th. There is something for everyone on here, and I encourage you to pick one up in the Commons or on your way out, or like I said, just look for the copy in the e-news on Wednesday. Now the kids and I will go down and talk a little bit more about all of this 30 Days of Loving Kindness. We're now going to sing the children's benediction. It's in the back inside cover of your gray hymnal.
We will have Jade's reflection at another Sunday, reflecting about Martin Luther King and Audre Lorde, and we look forward to that. But for today, I want to invite you to turn in your gray hymnal to something we used to do maybe more often before the pandemic days, and we haven't for a while. It's a litany that I'd like you to turn to, number 584 in the back. These words from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I think it's important this weekend and all weekends, really, and all times throughout the year to remember these words and words of all those justice workers who remind us of the world we're trying to build and how those sentiments continue to stay true year to year, generation to generation. I'll read the regular print and I invite you to respond in the italic print, and being mindful of how these words still ring true this day as much as when they were first spoken. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There are some things in our social system to which all of us ought to be maladjusted. We must evolve, for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. Before it is too late, we must narrow the gaping chasm between our proclamations of peace and our lowly deeds which precipitate and perpetuate war. We must pursue peaceful ends through peaceful means. May that be so. In gratitude, we'll receive today's offering.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. When sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination's near, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So brothers, take my hand, and sisters, take my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Above you the sky. Beyond that the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath. You yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you are named, you're known as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God and Gaia of many names and beyond all naming. Sometimes the world stops us in our tracks, slows us down with the extremes of air and soul and community. Even on this frigid morning, through the crystal-like air, a sundog shone forth in the eastern sky, this rare rainbow of the cold, a reminder of both the intensity of this world and the beauty that still meets us. It sometimes only seems possible on the far horizon when things are intense. And we too remember how hope is often like that, or love is often like that. When the world stops us and holds us in its intensity, there are things that can still break through with color, with light, on some far horizon. I invite you to bring the names or places that you're holding in your heart this day, in joy or in sorrow, in celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all the names spoken and unspoken, may we all be held in love. These words of meditation are from educator Ursula Wolf-Rocke, reminding us of our deep interconnection in both our struggles and in our liberation. They write, it can be overwhelming to witness, to experience, to take in all the injustices of the moment. The good news is that they are all connected. So if your little corner of work in the world involves pulling on one of the threads, you're helping to unravel the whole damn cloth. May that be so. Amen. The hymn is We Shall Overcome.
This morning's reading, A Quest for Universal Suffrage by Kimberly Blazier. Suffrage. In late Middle English, intercessory prayers, a series of petitions, not the right, but the hope. Universal, applicable to all cases, except those marginalized and unnamed, a belief, but not a fact. In the trombone slide of history, I hear the suffer in suffragette, the una in universal. Each excluded Ikwe woman from 500 tribal nations, matriarchs of ancient flourishing cultures, still holding our world together in the dusky and lawless violence manifest in colonial America. 26 million American women at last granted the right to vote. Oh, marginal notes in the sweet anthem of equality, indigenous non-citizens turn to the older Congress of the Sun, seek in the assembled stories of sky a steady enlightenment. Natural laws, the mathematics of bending trees, sistering of nutrients, or wintering wisdom of animal relatives. Each seasonal chorus colored with resilience, earth voices rising in sacred dream songs. Even now listen, put on the moon-scored shell of a turtle, wear this ancient armor of belonging. In the spiral of survivance, again, harvest the amber sap of trees, follow the scattered path, the wild and good seed that grows on water. O water, O rice, O women of birch dreams and baskets gather. Here, reap and reseed, raise brown hands trembling wholly with endurance. Now bead land knowledge, woodland fruits, and breathy cedar songs. Say yea, ayah, and yes. Here and here, cast your tended nets, O suffered and sweetly mended nets of abundance.
Choir. A song I heard years ago had a simple caution, thinking about the world of technology and instant responses, our lives saturated with over-communication that is so often more about efficiency than relationship, more about rapid response than taking a beat and pausing. The song spoke about all these horrible, unintentional messages sent to the wrong people, either personal information or just the wrong thing to the wrong person. And the song was called Don't Push Send. A good general caution in life, I think. Just give it a minute. Or in other admonitions, sometimes sleep on it, think on it a bit, take a little bit of time before pushing send or before saying the thing. Sometimes I've said in my family, and I've heard from others toward me, use your thinker before your talker. Just take a minute, think about what you're saying. Ancient traditions have had similar practices about asking yourself questions before acting. Like in the Buddhist tradition, before speaking, one should ask oneself, is what I'm about to say true? Is it helpful? Is it spoken with goodwill? Is it spoken in a way for someone else to receive it well? And is it timely? True, helpful, timely, goodwill. Sometimes I wonder if we really think much or pause much before we speak or act. Or perhaps even more importantly, are we even asking ourselves the right set of questions before we do these things? The right guiding values before speaking or acting? On March 31st, 1968, the Reverend Dr. King preached these words. He said, on some positions, cowardice asks the question, is it expedient? And then experience comes along and asks the question, is it political? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? Conscience asks the question, is it right? There comes a time, he said, when one must take the position that is neither safe, nor political, nor popular, but must do it because conscience tells us it is right. He said, I believe today there's a need for all people of goodwill to come with a massive act of conscience and say in the words of the old spiritual, we ain't going to study war no more. In these words, King was moving further into tense conversation about the Vietnam War and what he called the evil of militarism, which he often grouped together with racism and excessive materialism. He faced great opposition and tension around his commitments to nonviolence and active pacifism. 5 days after preaching this sermon, he was killed. He regularly made statements that even among those who aligned on many values within the movement for civil rights, they were always pushing the boundaries of justice further. There is a natural tension in that the civil rights movement accomplished so much that the celebration of Dr. King can sometimes be so watered down to a sense of accomplishment, a sense of ease. But at its core, his words in that movement were about agitation, of being complicit with the way things are, putting pressure on our tendencies toward neat and tidy law and order, and instead demanded a larger justice. There are many words that the Reverend Dr. King spoke or wrote that I feel for myself a need to hear again and again and again, and to let the words jump off the page and out of some history lesson from back then and slam into the world right now, every year. Truth still so needed, still so poignantly relevant. Some of the phrases we know better than others, like we spoke today. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Or darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hatred cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Or some words are perhaps particularly important for us. In a historically and predominantly white tradition, a tradition that Reverend Dr. King and Coretta Scott King theologically were actually quite in line with. Some of you know some of that history too, that they attended Unitarian churches in Boston. And years after his death, Coretta Scott King spoke with a leader in Unitarian Universalism who was asked to co-write her autobiography. She said they resonated with Unitarianism theologically and spiritually, but knew they could never gather a revolution of black people for collective action in that cultural and religious context. So then, these words feel particularly important for us in our movement. He wrote in his famous letter from a Birmingham jail, "First, I must confess that over the past few years, I've been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I've almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his stride toward freedom is not the white citizen's counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another's freedom, who lives by a mythical concept of time," he wrote, who constantly advises the Negro to wait for a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill, he said, is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Those words of committed more to order than to justice, a negative peace with the absence of tension toward a positive peace with the presence of justice. Even in this congregation, like every story in history, is a tangled thicket of truths. Tom Weber wrote an article for the Post-Bulletin not long ago about Reverend Ernest Smith, minister of this church in 1923, who was intimidated by local KKK leaders about his public critiques of the Klan and continued to preach in the face of that threat. The Reverend Vern Curry answered the call to Selma in the mid-1960s, and also the Reverend Homer Gleason, a national proponent of eugenics, was minister here, and also may have helped organize a Klan chapter in Colorado before later denouncing it. We weave tangled thickets of truth, and the only way we know a thicket is to enter it, to get close to it, so that we might learn what's really there and how to make our way through it with honesty and in safe ways. This month's theme of love, this spiritual belief that is at the very center of our tradition, where our ancestors believed that whatever God was, it was love, and the whole point of life was to love your neighbor, which was everyone. This word, when going back to how King used it, was about a massive shift to the ways of the world. It wasn't a feel-good, Hallmark, Valentine's-y love, but a type of love rooted in the Greek word agape, a love that was about redistributing resources, a love that was about unconditional commitment to each other's well-being, a love that moved from individualism to communalism. In short, to working toward a world away from some living hell where people suffer and hoard and hurt, and toward some living heaven, what he called the beloved community, where people care for each other, where resources are held in common, where individual fiscal or social safety is not the first question, The first question is, how well are we all cared for? And how am I participating or not in that? Reverend Dr. King wrote first in a handwritten note to a dear friend, and then spoke in an interview in 1957, a description of love at the core of his theology. He said, "I'm convinced that love is the most durable power in the world. It's not an expression of impractical idealism, but of practical realism." He said, "Far from being the pious injunction of a utopian dreamer, love is an absolute necessity for the survival of civilization." He said, "To return hate for hate does nothing but to intensify the existence of evil in the universe." He said, "Someone must have sense enough and religion enough to cut off the chain of hate and evil, and this can only be done through love." To cut off the chain of hate and evil. I wonder how many times do we answer questions in our lives, make decisions about a whole host of things, move in directions about our homes or our jobs or our families or our money or our resources or our spending, our passions, our hobbies, things that give us joy or where we find meaning, maybe by asking some wrong sets of questions at times. Is it expedient or efficient? Is it politically or socially popular? Or is it right? The road to freedom, as we'll sing in a moment, is not an easy, straight, clear path. It is a winding and muddy, and often in the shadows, we try to make our way to collective liberation, and it's not easy, and it's not always forward. That's why the opening hymn was about the imagery of the drinking gourd, or following the stars, constellations. Many of you know this history, that the drinking gourd in particular was the Big Dipper, leading in the direction to point towards the North Star in the pitch dark to help people escape from slavery, to find their way north. All these images in these spiritual songs were sending secret messages cloaked in song and rhythm for safe passage to freedom. The message of freedom has always had to come in glimpses, often hidden from those in power. Partial pictures and images, code words and songs pointing towards some larger freedom, no clear map, but a different way of moving and being and speaking and feeling, creating a way out of no way. Marginal notes in the sweet anthem of equality, writes the poet. So we turn to the older Congress of the Sun, she writes, seek in the assembled stories of sky a steady enlightenment, natural laws, each seasonal chorus colored with resilience, earth voices rising in sacred dream songs. She says, in the spiral of survivance, harvest the amber sap of trees, followed the scattered path, the wild and good seed that grows on water. The spiral of survivance, followed the scattered path. That imagery of a scattered path, for some, it's navigating the regular pressure because of their identity on a daily basis of being misjudged or underestimated or not trusted or not welcome. For some, the scattered path is about some serious self-reflection about how the world is set up for some and not others, how even in our struggles, there might be far more privilege and access than we knew. And how at its best, struggle might be used not as defensive comparison of, well, I've struggled too, how could I have privilege? But as an invitation to collective solidarity, to understand we all want a world where all thrive, I think, and that we have a lot of work still to do always. As one activist said, things aren't getting worse, they are getting uncovered. We have to keep holding each other close and pull back the veil. Adrienne Murray Brown. The idea that it is never too late to keep learning and going toward that thicket of a tangled history, and to know it better, and to know that we only get free if we all are free, that we are, if we notice, in a single garment of destiny, that the soul can never truly be free if it knows its siblings are not free. So perhaps beyond our own internal questions, The invitation of a scattered and winding path toward liberation is about finding things to bless us or inspire us or correct our course along the way. And in that spirit, here's a synopsis of what an activist at a gathering recently shared, in part known as the Franciscan fourfold prayer. That God may bless you with these things: discomfort at easy answers and half-truths. That God may bless you with anger at injustice and oppression, and with tears for suffering and pain, and enough foolishness to believe and claim that we can make a difference in this world. In humility and reverence, we sing the words of the African American anthem, "Lift every voice and sing." I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together. In the day invite you, as you're comfortable, to place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or earth in gratitude. May you know and feel, stretching far beyond just yourself, that freedom is a web of connection, that the injustice somewhere in the world can be felt through the connections, and so can the liberation. May we lean toward that collective, and may we know that our heart and our soul is part of the collective liberation of us all. May that be so. Amen.